The wedding reception was everything my sister Melissa wanted. Elegant venue overlooking the bay, string quartet champagne tower, 200 guests in formal attire. She'd worked for this moment, planned every detail, and she deserved it. What she didn't deserve was to use her wedding toast as another opportunity to put me down. "And I want to thank my family," Melissa said into the microphone, radiant in her wedding dress. "Especially my parents who supported me through law school. Unlike some people, I chose a stable career path." She didn't look at me, but everyone else did. Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. I was sitting at table 9, not the family table which was reserved for parents, grandparents, and Melissa's new in-laws. Table 9 was near the kitchen, filled with distant cousins and family friends who barely knew my name. "My parents always told us," Melissa continued, "get an education, get a real job, build a real future." I'm proud to say I listened. She raised her glass. "To stability, success, and doing things the right way." The room applauded. Mom and Dad beamed from the head table. I was 28 years old. I'd founded Quantum Games at 22, built it from my college apartment into something that changed the industry. But to my family, I was still just playing video games. The speeches continued. Dad stood up next. "I'm so proud of Melissa," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "She graduated top of her class from law school, passed the bar on her first try, and landed a position at Whitmore and Associates. That's a real achievement. That's the kind of success that makes a parent proud." He paused, looked directly at me across the room. "I just wish both my children understood the value of hard work and legitimate careers." The implication was clear. Melissa worked hard. I didn't. My brother-in-law Jason spoke next, talking about how Melissa's dedication and professionalism inspired him, how she represented the best of her generation. Focused, educated, committed to excellence. "Not like these tech kids who think they can get rich quick with apps and games," Jason added, getting a laugh. Melissa put in the real work. I sipped my water and checked my phone under the table. 3 texts from my CFO. "Forbes list drops in 20 minutes. PR team is ready. Congratulations in advance, boss." I looked around the reception hall. Mom was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, overwhelmed with pride for Melissa. Dad was shaking hands with Jason's father, probably discussing their successful children. Melissa was glowing, surrounded by well-wishers. And there, near the entrance, I spotted someone I recognized. Catherine Chin, senior editor at Forbes. We'd spoken twice during the verification process for the list. She told me she might stop by. She was friends with Jason's family. Our eyes met across the room. She nodded slightly and started making her way toward me. "Excuse me," I said to my tablemates, none of whom were listening anyway. I met Catherine halfway near the bar. "Alex," she said quietly. "Congratulations. The list goes live in 15 minutes. "I know," I said. "Your family doesn't know, do they?" "No." She glanced toward the head table where my parents sat. "That's going to be quite a moment." "That's one way to put it," I said. We talked for a few minutes about the Forbes piece. A full profile on the youngest self-made billionaire in the gaming industry. 28 years old, net worth $2.1 billion, company valuation at $8.5 billion after our latest funding round. Quantum Games had 1,200 employees across 4 countries. Our flagship game had 85 million active users. We'd revolutionized mobile gaming architecture and were about to launch an AI-powered platform that would change the industry again. But to Mom and Dad, I was wasting my life on video games. Catherine checked her phone. "It's live. Forbes just published." Within seconds, phones started buzzing throughout the reception. Quietly at first. A few guests checking notifications, doing double takes at their screens, whispering to their neighbors. Then more phones came out. The whispers grew louder. I watched it spread through the room like a wave. Table by table, people checking their phones, reading something, looking shocked, looking at me. Melissa was still near the cake, laughing with her bridesmaids, oblivious. Then someone at the head table checked their phone. Jason's father, a businessman who kept up with Forbes lists. I saw his eyes go wide. He leaned over to Dad, showed him the screen. Dad's face went pale. He grabbed the phone, read it again. Turned to look at me across the room. Mom noticed his expression, took the phone from him. Her hand flew to her mouth. The music from the string quartet seemed to fade. More people were checking phones now, the buzz of conversation shifting from wedding celebration to shock and confusion. Is this right? That's her brother? Alex Chin, that's Melissa's sister? The gaming billionaire? Melissa finally noticed something was wrong. The energy in the room had changed. She looked around, confused, then saw everyone staring at their phones, and at me. What's going on? She asked, her voice carrying in the sudden quiet. Catherine Chin stepped forward, professional and composed. Congratulations on your wedding, Melissa. I'm Catherine Chin from Forbes. I was actually here to speak with your sister Alex. Melissa looked at Catherine, then at me. My sister? Why? We just published our annual billionaires list, Catherine said. Alex is featured as the youngest self-made billionaire in gaming. Her company, Quantum Games, is valued at $8.5 billion. Her personal net worth is $2.1 billion. The room went silent. Melissa stared at me. That's not. Alex doesn't have a company. She makes video games. She founded and runs one of the most successful gaming companies in the world, Catherine said. Quantum Games. 85 million active users, revolutionary AI technology, partnerships with every major tech platform. The profile is on Forbes.com now. People were pulling it up, reading it, their faces shifting from skepticism to shock. Dad stood up from the head table, his face red. Alex, is this true? I walked toward the head table, very aware that everyone was watching. Dad. It's true. But you told us you were working on games. Little mobile games. I told you I founded a gaming company. You called it a hobby. Mom was scrolling through the Forbes article on someone's phone. This says you have over 1,000 employees. 1,200 actually. We just hired another team in Tokyo. And you're worth. She couldn't even say the number. $2.1 billion, I said. As of this morning's valuation. Melissa was shaking her head. This doesn't make sense. You work from home. You wear hoodies and sneakers. You don't even have a real office. I have 5 offices across 4 countries, I said. I work from home when I'm not traveling because I can. That's one of the benefits of building your own company. Jason's father spoke up, looking at his phone. It says here you pioneered the mobile gaming architecture that 60% of the industry now uses. That's our Synapse core engine, I said. We licensed it to most major developers. And you have partnerships with Apple, Google, Microsoft. He trailed off, scrolling. You spoke at the Game Developers Conference as the keynote speaker. Last year, I confirmed. Dad was still standing, gripping the back of his chair. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, Dad. Many times. At Thanksgiving 2 years ago I told you we just closed Series C funding. You asked when I was going to get a real job. Last Christmas I mentioned we'd hit 50 million users. You said maybe I could use that experience to apply for marketing positions at real companies. Mom's voice was small. But you never said that it was this big. I told you my company was doing well. You assumed doing well meant I was making enough to pay rent. Melissa found her voice and it had an edge. This is my wedding day. You couldn't have told us before? You had to let this come out now. I didn't know Forbes would publish today, I said. But honestly, Melissa, would it have mattered? You spent your toast talking about real jobs and real careers and doing things the right way. Your way. Because that's what normal people do. They get degrees, they get jobs, they build careers the right way. Not by playing games. I didn't play games, Melissa. I built an $8.5 billion company that employs 1,200 people and serves 85 million users. That's pretty real. One of Melissa's law school friends spoke up. Wait, Quantum Games, you made Infinity Quest? My team did, yes. My kids are obsessed with that game. Everyone's kids are. It's everywhere. Another guest chimed in. You're the one who developed that AI system everyone's talking about? The one that's going to change mobile gaming. We announce the full platform next month. Jason was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. During the rehearsal dinner, I told you video games were for children. I said you should consider law school. I remember, I said. And you just said nothing? What was I supposed to say, Jason? You weren't interested in a conversation. You were giving advice to someone you assumed needed it. Dad sat down heavily. Around the room I could see people pulling up articles, watching interviews I'd done, finding photos from industry events where I'd spoken on panels with tech CEOs and venture capitalists. My Uncle Richard approached, phone in hand. Alex, this article says you turned down a $3 billion acquisition offer from Microsoft last year. It wasn't the right move for the company. You turned down $3 billion? I'm building something bigger than a quick exit, I said. Mom was crying now, but I couldn't tell if it was from pride or shame or confusion. Why didn't we know? How did we not know? Because you never asked what I actually did, I said quietly. You asked if I was making ends meet. You asked if I needed money. You offered to help me find real jobs. But you never once asked me to explain my company, my work, my vision. You just assumed I was failing because I wasn't following your path. Melissa's maid of honor spoke up, trying to salvage the moment. Well, this is exciting news. Let's toast to both sisters. One a successful attorney, one a successful entrepreneur. But the energy in the room had shifted completely. Guests were Googling me, reading articles, watching videos. The wedding had become background noise to the revelation that the family disappointment was actually a billionaire. Catherine Chin approached again. Alex, I hate to intrude further, but several outlets are asking for comments. And CNBC wants to know if you're available for an interview tomorrow. Tomorrow's fine, I said. There's also interest in your family story, Catherine said carefully. The contrast between perception and reality. I'd rather not comment on that, I said. Melissa was standing frozen by the cake, her perfect wedding moment completely derailed. I actually felt bad for her. This was supposed to be her day. I walked over to her. Melissa, I'm sorry this came out today. I didn't plan it this way. Didn't plan it? Her voice was sharp. You've been sitting on this for years. You let us all treat you like you were going nowhere. You let Dad give speeches about real careers while you're worth billions. Would you have treated me differently if you'd known? She opened her mouth. Closed it. We both knew the answer. That's what I thought, I said. The reception limped forward, but it was never the same. People kept approaching me. Some genuinely interested in my work, others suddenly interested in investment opportunities or jobs for their kids or connections I might have. Dad tried 3 times to talk to me. Each time he started with some version of, I didn't know, or, you should have told us. Mom pulled me aside near the end of the night. Please understand, Alex. We were just worried about you. We wanted you to have security, stability. We wanted you to be okay. I am okay, Mom. I've been okay for 6 years. You just refused to believe it. But how were we supposed to know? You never. I told you. Repeatedly. You didn't listen. Jason's father cornered me by the bar. Alex, I work in commercial real estate. I'd love to discuss opportunities. Your company must need office space, retail locations. My CFO handles that, I said. Of course. Maybe we could have coffee? I'd love to learn more about your business. Everyone wanted something now. Now that they knew. As the reception wound down, I found Melissa alone for a moment, staring at her wedding cake. I'm sorry your day got hijacked, I said. She didn't look at me. Do you know what the worst part is? Everyone's going to remember my wedding as the day we found out my sister was a billionaire. Not as my wedding day. As your day. That wasn't what I wanted. Wasn't it? She finally looked at me. You sat there all night listening to us talk about real careers and real success, knowing you could drop this bomb at any moment. I didn't drop anything, Melissa. Forbes published their list. I had no control over the timing. But you knew it was coming. You could have warned us. Prepared us. Like you prepared me for your toast? Where you implied I was lazy and unsuccessful. She flinched. I love you, Melissa, I said. I'm proud of you for becoming a lawyer, for working hard, for achieving your goals. But you couldn't extend me the same courtesy. You assumed because I wasn't doing what you understood, I wasn't doing anything worthwhile. You make video games, she said, but there was less conviction in her voice now. I built a company that brings joy to 85 million people. That employs 1,200 people who support their families with good salaries and benefits. That pioneered technology now used across an entire industry. Is that not worthwhile? She didn't answer. I left the reception early before the official end. Catherine Chin walked me out. That was intense, she said. That's one word for it. For what it's worth, the article is getting massive engagement. Your story resonates with a lot of people. The underestimated kid who built an empire. I didn't build it to prove anything to them, I said. I know, Catherine said. That's what makes it more powerful. The next morning my phone exploded. Texts from extended family I hadn't heard from in years. Congratulations messages. Requests for loans, investments, job opportunities. Suddenly everyone wanted to reconnect. Melissa sent one text. Mom and Dad want to have dinner. To talk. Will you come? I stared at the message for a long time. Finally, I replied, I need some time. 3 days later I did the CNBC interview. They asked about quantum games, about our technology, about our vision for the future. They also asked about my family. It's complicated, I said. My family loves me. They just had a very specific idea of what success should look like. And when I didn't fit that image, they assumed I wasn't succeeding. Does it bother you that they didn't recognize your achievements? I thought about it. I used to. Now I realize their recognition was never the point. I built quantum games because I loved gaming, because I saw possibilities others didn't, because I wanted to create something meaningful. Whether my family understood that or not didn't change the work. But surely it hurt. Of course it hurt. But it also taught me something important. You can't wait for other people to validate your vision. Especially when they're looking at your life through their own limited lens. After the interview aired, Mom called. We watched, she said. Your father and I. We watched the whole thing. Okay. You were right. About all of it. We did dismiss you. We did assume. We did. Her voice cracked. We failed you as parents, Alex. Mom. No, let me finish. We were so convinced that success meant law school or medicine or corporate careers, the things we understood, that we couldn't see what you were building. And instead of being curious, instead of asking questions and learning, we just dismissed you. For years. I didn't say anything. Your father wants to talk to you. Melissa too. They're both here. Will you come over? Please. I looked out my apartment window. My $6 million penthouse apartment that I'd never told them about, at the city below. I'll come, I said. But I need you to understand something first. Anything. This isn't about money or success or Forbes lists. This is about respect. About seeing me for who I am, not who you wanted me to be. If we're going to rebuild our relationship, that has to change. I understand, she said. We understand. And we're ready to really listen now. Hey, I said. I'll be there tonight. I hung up and sat for a moment in the quiet. The Forbes article was still getting comments, shares, media coverage. But none of that mattered as much as this. The chance to have a real conversation with my family. Finally. Whether we could fix what was broken, I didn't know. But for the first time in 6 years, they were actually willing to see me. And that was a start.